Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm just going to be diving in straight on how to build your confidence. This is something that I find that a lot of us struggle with. No matter your age, you can be 10 years old, 15, 20, 40, even 50 years old. I'm close to 40 and it took me a long time to know how to build confidence, how to become confident in myself. It was not an overnight thing. It's been a journey. And honestly, I'm still on my confidence building journey. But since I've been intentional about it, I have learned a lot of things along the way that has helped me to build my confidence. And that's why I want to share them with you, because I want you to become the confident person that you've always wanted to become, so that you can fully show up as your true authentic self, who God created you to be, without worrying about what other people have to say about you, what they have to think about you. You just fully showing up in the way that makes you feel the most at peace, that makes you feel calm, that makes you feel the least amount of anxiety, just showing up in full and pure confidence. That is what I want to show you how to do through some of the tips and learnings and things that I've experienced on my own. For those of you who don't know, like I stated, I have struggled with my confidence throughout my life. I was never a fully confident person. And when I talk about confidence, I don't really mean, there's so different levels of confidence, right? Different categories of confidence. I don't mean like from a beauty standpoint. Some people aren't confident in their physical beauty and how they look, how they're aesthetically look to the eyes of other people, right? I never had confidence issues in that area. Not to say that I thought that I was just the most beautiful person ever, but my confidence level stemmed from internal, basically how I showed up in my skills, in the tasks that I've done, and showing up and holding my ground truly without worrying about what people thought about me. That's where I lacked confidence. I lacked confidence because I was always seeking validation from other people in the things that I knew that was true within me, things that I knew were things that God called me to do. I would have a vision of something. I would have this strong feeling that it was what I was called to do, but yet and still I would look to other people for guidance and validation on the ideas and the things that I was led to do. Over the years, I think that just really dampened who I was as a person and called me to not live my true authentic self. Let's jump into it. So one of the first things that I did and that I realized and that I had this epiphany for, which is so small, by the way, it's like, what? Why didn't I think about this all the time? But when it comes to building confidence for myself, is showing myself the love and the grace that I would show a friend or a family member or somebody who I care for. Even if it's not somebody you care for, when you think about it, whenever somebody is going through an issue or facing a problem, think about how you speak to those people. You generally speak to them in a loving, kind, calm voice, right? You're trying to push and motivate them and encourage them to get out of whatever frustration they may be feeling or whatever season they may be in. You're basically trying to be the voice of reason for them and to get them to see the situation in another light, right? And one time I remember I was sitting in a car and there was a particular situation that came up. I don't even, and that's the thing about it, I don't even remember the situation now, but they're saying that people will never always remember what you say, but they'll never forget how you feel is so true, because I don't remember the specific situation, but I remember how I felt. And I remember feeling in that moment somewhat like a failure, like I had dropped the ball. I wasn't living up to my true potential. And I just really remember beating up myself and just feeling down on myself, and all these voices is in my head telling me all of these things. And the more and more the voices talk, the more and more I would start to feel bad. It's like a repeated cycle over and over and over. And that's a whole nother topic, but if you allow those voices to continue on, then that's going to further your demise of how you're feeling and all the negativity. Anyway, in that moment, I had an epiphany. I don't even know. It came out of the middle of nowhere. And it was like a voice that said, what would you tell your friend who is going through the same exact situation right now? All of a sudden, my heart posture changed, my demeanor changed. I became lighter because I acted out in that situation. I was like, I would tell her to, you're doing a great job. You're doing the best you can. This is not the end of the world. You're being harsh on yourself. You're seeing this in a way that's way bigger than it is, and it's not. And I just remember being encouraging, motivating, loving, and I was speaking these words to her. And I remember when I stopped in that moment, I actually cried because it was something so small, but it was like a pivotal moment in my life, because I was like, wow, if I could speak those kind words to a friend, why can't I speak those same words to myself? And I think when I turned the situation around in that moment and I started to speak those same words to me, I felt a sense of release. I felt the anxiety just kind of like dwindle and to leave. And I felt so much better. Just like that. It was like the light of a switch. It's just like that. I started to feel better about the situation that I was in, simply because I changed the position and the way that I spoke to myself. And I say that to say that's how you can build confidence, because whenever you have a situation and you're being hard on yourself, which we always do, we can think of 5 to 10 instances and scenarios throughout the day where we have those voices that come and beat us up over things that we've done, right? And I think when you stop in that moment and you turn it around and you give yourself that outlet and you speak to yourself like that friend, that helps to build your confidence, because you know that whatever situation you come upon next, you have that outlet within yourself that you can get yourself back on track, that you can encourage yourself, that you can motivate yourself. And that helps to build your confidence, because you don't have to worry about those negative voices beating you down over and over and over. I will admit it is a process. It's not the easiest thing to do, because just like a muscle, you have to exercise that muscle. You have to learn how to work it. You have to do it over and over and over until it becomes second nature. But once you get it done, once you allow yourself to just be free and to speak to yourself in that kind manner, it's going to make so much more of a difference in the confidence and the belief in yourself, because now you're not going to feel like a failure every time a voice comes in your head to try to tell you otherwise. And so that really helped me, and I want you to try it. Let me know if that helps you, because it is something so small, but it is absolutely so pivotal to building your confidence. Another thing to building your confidence is knowing that you do not need to prove yourself. Hard stop. You do not need to prove yourself to people, to entities, to whoever. And when I say you don't need to prove yourself, you don't need to prove yourself over and beyond what you know to be your truth. I think for me, proving yourself is a sense of trying to seek validation. And when you're trying to seek validation outside of yourself, that's directly correlated to the confidence of yourself, how you feel about yourself, how confident you are in yourself. Just think about like having an idea and you feel so sure about this idea. You like gung ho all the way in, and then you share this idea with a friend or a family member or a coworker or whoever, and they aren't as excited about your idea, or they may even have some pushback or say some negative words towards your idea. And then all of a sudden you find yourself drawing in and second guessing yourself like, man, maybe that isn't a good idea, or maybe I should change this. You were seeking that validation in people who could not validate you. They weren't in the proper authority to validate you for whatever reason. People will tend to downplay what you have going on just because they can't see it for themselves, right? And so I think this is the quickest way to dampen your confidence, to lower your confidence, to just take a stab and a beating at your confidence, is when you're going to the wrong sources for validation. And that happens when you don't truly know who you are, what you stand for, what you desire, then you tend to seek to go to other people for those sources. I know for me, part of my lack of confidence, I would know something so firmly within me and feel it so firmly, but for some reason, I would always go to other people. What do you think about this? And then I would look at their emotions and their reactions, and then I would discern how I should feel. I would pick up on their energies, and then it will change my whole mood. And it would just send me into this downward spiral of worth, like my self-worth. Like my confidence would just take a hit when I would look to people to validate something that I had going on that I knew was something that I wanted to do, something that I was confident in. Hear me when I say that, something that I was confident in. I took that to somebody else so that they can decrease my confidence. What sense does that make? We do it all the time. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with validation. I think we just have to know what source to go to get that validation. It has to be trusted circle of people who have proven themselves time and time again that we can trust. I was going to anybody, and that was my mistake. I can be talking to a stranger and having a conversation and just you hear them say something that was complete opposite of what I wanted to feel, and then yet my confidence is just gone just like that. And I lived my life like that for the absolute longest. It feels so freeing to finally break away from that. But that's why I'm sharing these tips and experiences with you, is because I want you to be able to build your confidence as well. How freeing would it be to know that if God gave you an idea right now, you went and implemented and executed without having to go to 20 different people and asking them their opinion of what they think about it? That would feel absolutely amazing, right? And I want to encourage you to actually do that, because if you can do that, if you can take whatever it is that you want to do and feel confident about it at first, that's honestly how you build confidence, because you're starting to trust yourself most. I think the lack of confidence comes from not trusting ourselves. We don't trust ourselves and our voices enough to move forward with something. So we start to seek these external sources of validation and people who are going to say, yes, go ahead and do that, or no, don't go ahead and do that, instead of fully trusting ourselves. But once you fully trust yourself, you'll find that it starts to come with ease. If you want to go to, I don't know, if you play sports and I don't know, baseball or something like that, and you want to go to a baseball field and hit the ball yourself, go to, go and hit the ball yourself. Have that confidence and belief in your ability to go to that park by yourself and hit that ball. If you ask a friend and they say they don't want to go with you, that's fine. Don't allow that to stop you from doing something that you were confident in and something that you wanted to do just because they did not. And I think that's the biggest lesson of this for me, is to stop seeking validation from people who aren't even qualified and equipped to validate you to begin with, because when you do so, you're allowing it to take a punching bag at your confidence. And we know that you are fully capable of trusting yourself and believing in yourself. So that's how we're going to build our confidence. Be confident. You are confident. You got this. So trust in your ability so that you can be so fully confident in yourself that can't nobody shake it with whatever they say. Or if they have an opposing view from you, you will still be so confident that it won't shake you at all. That's the type of confidence that we want. Push yourself to do things that absolutely terrifies you, that scares you, that makes you tremble in your boots. I'm talking about you so scared that you got little sweat bulbs coming down your face. Push yourself to do those things, because when you do, that is absolutely, no doubt, hands down, toes up, going to build your confidence like nothing else. And again, it's funny because it's like, I think most times when people think about building confidence, they think it's something just like a light switch you switch on, and that you don't have to do the work to get it. There's absolutely work, deep work involved in building our confidence. And part of that is doing the things that we are afraid to do. Because when you think about it, the lack of confidence means that you don't have the experience in something, or you're not comfortable to do that thing. But how do you get comfortable? You have to get comfortable being uncomfortable and push yourself to do the things that absolutely scares you. For example, for me, I am terrified. Well, I'm going to say I was. I was terrified of public speaking. And I can't remember the stats. It was probably like 70 something percent. That's actually like one of a lot of people's main fears, is like public speaking, speaking in front of people, right? And for me, the reason why I was afraid of public speaking, you may know a little bit about my story. I grew up with strabismus, which are cross eyes. And so one of my eyes will look straight, one of them will look like totally haywire. And so whenever I would be speaking to people, they would, of course, make jokes, kids would tease me. And it again, it demolished my confidence over time. And so once I learned those interactions with certain people, my body and my brain came to say, this is what you can expect. In an effort to protect myself, what do? We try to foresee the next situation so that we can better control the situation. And so for me, it would mean that I would just not make eye contact with people. And so if I would make eye contact with people, what does that mean? That means I'm not talking, I'm not using my voice, I'm being very quiet, right? I grew up a shy person. I was shy, introvert. I'm still very introvert, but I can balance it and manage it more now. Anyways, throughout those experiences, it caused me to not interact with people and to not talk with people. And so just imagine that condition, and then already being shy and afraid to speak to people in public settings. Well, one-on-one, so let alone one-on-one, but then talk about public settings. That's a whole nother level of fear. But what happened is that I kind of got into my personal growth era, and I'm like, you know what? I'm I'm tired of living my life a little like a little, I don't know, just a little small little player. I don't know. I just felt small. I said, I'm tired of living my life like this. I have so much to offer to the world. I have so much that I want to pour into the world. I have so much impact that I desire to make that I have to figure out a way to get around this. And basically, confidence comes to finding a strong why of something you want to do and then forcing yourself to level up pretty much. There's really no other way to say it but that. And so for me, how this came about was I have a business called Strands of Faith. We manufacture products for textured hair. And so if you know anything about running a business, whenever you start a business, you are going to be your main advocate. Nobody's going to advocate for your brand on the level that you advocate. It's going to be all you. And so as time started to go on, I realized, okay, I have to speak up for my brand. I have to say our mission. What is it that we're trying to accomplish? All the things. And so a couple of years ago, there's this thing called pitch competitions. Now, pitch competitions are where you enter your business, you talk about your business, and you're pitching for something, whether it's money, mentorship, or whatever the case, you're pitching for something. I was terrified out of my mind, but I knew that in order for me to get, again, it draws back to impact. In order for me to make impact, I had to put my feelings aside and to step into the person who I needed to become to achieve that end goal. Mind you, it wasn't always comfortable. It's even to this day, it's not comfortable. But when you have that strong why and you point back to it, it helps you to kind of step into the person you need to be in that moment, right? Until you eventually become that person for real. But so anyway, I had to learn how to speak in public. And that has been such a confidence builder when I tell you, because I recall like one of my first times pitching, I was very like monotone. I was like scared. I was like, I just want to get through this. I was like, I just want to get through this because it was new for me. And I hadn't yet polished my presentation, my skills, the way that I deliver, my articulation, my enunciation, like all of those things. None of those things is polished, by the way, which shows you don't have to be perfect, which I'll speak on that next. But what happened was when I did it the first time, after it was over, I remember thinking, oh my gosh, that wasn't so bad. It wasn't as hard as I thought. Initially, we work up our mind to feel all of these things beforehand and these emotions that most of the time the emotions don't even really happen in real life. Yeah, you're going to have some anxiety and a little bit of fear, but like all the things that you tell yourself outside of that, most of the time it don't even come true. I just remember afterwards feeling so relieved, and I was like, oh my gosh, you did it, do it again, do it again. And so now I found myself, I don't know, I've done maybe 4 to 5 pitch competitions, and every single time, of course, it's still scary, but it gets easier. And so I said that to say, push yourself to do something that you're absolutely terrified of. If it's public speaking, go speak to a local school. Whatever it is your craft is or whatever you're trying to do, go do something in that area that's going to help somebody else. When you reframe it and say, this is not about me, but this is about the people who I intend to help, then it becomes that much easier for you to step out of yourself to make it happen. And so whatever that thing is that you're afraid of, whether it's going live on social media to connect with your audience, which, by the way, I'm still working on that because I'm still terrified of going live, ironically. But whether it's going live, posting more on social, whether it's volunteering, showing up, just volunteering, networking with people, whatever it is that you're most fearful to do, just expose yourself to that thing a little bit at a time. That's all you have to do, just expose yourself, baby steps. You don't have to jump in head first, get fully immersed. Take it slow. Prove to yourself that you can trust yourself with the little things first, and then your body will become acclimated to the thing that you're exposing it to, and you'll start trusting yourself more, and then you'll start little baby steps will compound, and before long you'll look back and see all of the leeway and all of the progress that you've made. That's what it's about. Push yourself, do something you are afraid of. That's going to help build your confidence. And I'm telling you, you got this. You got this. And this video is becoming so long. I did not think that I would enjoy this so much. I'm probably going to have to do a part 2, 3, 4, and 5. But the last thing I want to say to help build your confidence is to let go of perfectionism. Let go of perfectionism. Y'all, none of us are perfect. Not a single soul of us is perfect on this earth. Nobody is perfect but Jesus Christ himself, okay? And I think when you allow yourself to remove their narrative that you have to show up perfect, that everything you have to do is perfect, then you'll allow yourself to be able to be more free and to experiment more, to do more, and you'll build your confidence in the process. Because think about it. If you're thinking that something has to be perfect all the time, what is that going to do to your confidence when it's not perfect? Right? You're going to feel like a failure. You're going to feel like you didn't hit the mark. You're going to feel like you didn't achieve the goal. But if you remove that pressure from yourself to be perfect, now you give yourself the ability to explore, to experiment, and to step up and build your level of confidence. I know for me, I grew up a Christian and I'm still a believer, but that's a whole nother topic. I had to relearn and undo some things that were toxic in the way that I viewed religion or my relationship. And one of those things is the perfectionism language. Like, some people teaches you that God calls us to be perfect in a sense, in a literal sense. Yes, God calls us to be perfect, but perfect in showing up, meaning everything I do, I'm aiming for perfection, but I'm not reaching perfection. Does that make sense? So basically, excellence. Let's switch out the word perfect for excellence. If I'm doing something and I know that I'm doing it to my level of excellence, then that's what I mean when he calls us to be perfect. Because while you're doing something at excellence, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be perfect and completely flawless, because you're still going to miss the mark every single time. No matter where you slice it, cut it, dice it, you're going to miss the mark if you're trying to aim for perfectionism, right? And so I think I had to unlearn all of that. I had to strip myself of all of that. And when I did that, man, it was like a huge weight that just lifted off of me, because now I was able to say, oh, Mika, you're going to fail. You're going to fall. You're going to make mistakes. But just because, it doesn't mean that you're not any less perfect. Like, you're not operating in excellence. It's just that you're doing the best of your ability in this season, and you're growing, giving yourself grace to grow along the way. And so removing that was just huge for me in my confidence. Around that time when I had that epiphany, again, that was also around the time I was starting my business. And whenever you're starting a business, man, listen, no successful business that you see today operates under the mantra of everything has to be perfect. Because if there's a business who thinks that, that's a business that hasn't taken off yet. They're still at the level of they're trying to get things together. Because in business, you're going to flop. Things are going to flop. Things are going to fail. Things are not going to be a success. There's no such thing as perfectionism. It's done is better than perfect. Getting something done, that's the version of perfection, because you're getting it done. And the more things you get done, you're moving closer to the goalpost. You're having more time to iterate, to optimize, to test things out, to see what works, what doesn't work. And the only way you can do that is through the opposite of perfection. Because if perfection were the thing, then you wouldn't move forward into that thing. It's totally right in your eyes before you even launch it. If you want to launch a book or if you want to start a business, or if you want to start a podcast, if you are toiling with your mind and saying, I can't launch this podcast until I get the perfect podcast cover, until I get the perfect podcast name, until I get my first 8 episodes scripted out perfectly. If you're thinking that, then you're really setting yourself up for failure in the sense that you probably won't ever get started. But if you flip the switch and say, you know what? I'm going to launch this podcast. It's not perfect. I don't have the perfect cover art yet. My scripts aren't completely perfect, but I'm going to run with it and I'm going to start. For example, this video is actually the perfect example. I knew that I wanted to revamp my YouTube channel and start it in a fresh way. And initially, I was going to script out all of my videos, and I was like, you know what? That takes so much time and energy to try to form this perfect schedule and all of that. Why don't you just jump in and do it? Because once you do it, you can iterate and optimize along the way. And so that's what I've done in this moment. Me talking to you right now, this is totally not scripted. This is just me speaking to you in real time, which obviously you can probably tell because if you stay to this point, this is a full 28-minute video. But the point is, do not allow perfectionism to hold you back, because if you think that you have to be perfect, it's going to take a direct hit to your confidence, to your ability to feel what you can and what you cannot achieve is going to take a hit to that. And so I just want to encourage you to do it. Do it. Don't expect to be perfect. Done is better than perfect. Just get your art, your creativity out there into the world. That's going to build your confidence. Listen, you have talents, you have gifts, you are equipped with everything that you need to make an impact and a difference in the lives of someone else, even your own. You just have to believe it. It all starts with believing. I need for you to believe this, sis. I need you to believe this, bro, because I'm telling you that you have what's in you to make a difference in your life and into the lives of everybody who's connected with you. I need you to believe that. Thank you so much for sticking around for my video. I hope you found value in this. If you have found value, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought. This is my very first video giving advice and life experiences, but I just really hope that it helps you in some ways. Live your life full of joy. Find something to be grateful for today. And above all, keep the faith.